There are young guys all over the field making plays for the Auburn Tigers. So how do we take that next step and get over that hump, man? Let's talk about it on this live edition of the Uptempo Podcast. Yes, sir. Good evening, Uptempo gang. Hope everybody's having a good week, man. Dustin Smith, Blake Lane back with the latest edition of the Uptempo Podcast. You heard the intro, man. A lot of young guys, Blake, Malcolm Simmons, Malik Blockton, Cam Coleman. How about our guy DeMarcus Riddick popping onto the scene? So we got a lot of guys out there that are making plays. But right now, we're still struggling to find some wins, man. So that's the topic for the night. Everybody's coming in here. Good crowd. Please smash the thumbs up button. We're like 80 subs away, I believe, from 2K. So let's make that happen here in the next week or two, man. We appreciate the growth. Appreciate all our new listeners in here that have found us over the last couple of weeks. War Damn Eagle to everybody. Blake, how are you doing tonight, my dude?
I'm still hurting. Dustin. I'm still upset. Just not feeling it, man. I'll be honest. Like we were just talking about, like what's going to happen Saturday, and I watched Kirby Smart give a post game speech to his team after the loss in Tuscaloosa Saturday, and y'all, I don't feel good about what's going to happen to us this Saturday. It's bad. It's bad. I mean, that man, he said, "Hey, we're about to go out here and we're about to beat the ever living piss out of Auburn. Do you hear me?" And they're going through it right now. They're going through it at practice right now. After that first half performance, you embarrassing Kirby 30-7, but then you fight back. Boy, we are about to get absolutely beat to sleep Saturday. And if you think anything else, I'm sorry. And that's why it hurts so much, is because we flat out just handed another one away on a silver platter, Dustin, and I still ain't over it, damn it. I'm not. And it's tough to get over crap play calls, poor clock management, and just basically saying, "Hey, I don't want to win this damn football game. So I'm going to let a true freshman walk in our trap and take over our trap." And we're at a point to where we're staring directly in the face of not going to a bowl game and being the laughingstock of the conference like we have been the past couple of years. And what I mean by that is I'm not talking about the Mississippi States or the Vanderbilts and all that. I'm talking about the top dogs of the conference, where I put Auburn in that upper echelon with LSU, Tennessee, and those cats, Alabama, Georgia, where we should be. We're the laughingstock right now. Us in Florida, we're down here doing the happy dance. Because right now we're in the same situation they're in. Like we're losing. It looks terrible. People are saying that recruiting might slip. Who knows? It's just we're kind of teeter-tottering that line. I'm not saying it's as bad as Florida. I'm just saying that's what some people are saying throughout the media. Is it looks similar to what they were in. Like last year, there was a lot of promise with their recruiting class. Oh, well, if they go 7-5, they ended up doing really bad. Their recruiting class fell apart, and there you go. Now look at them this year. So that's the comparisons people are making, and it's we just thought we were going to be something different this year. We're not saying national champions, but we were saying, hey, we were going to clock Cal. We were going to beat Arkansas, and we might have a shot against Oklahoma. And damn it, we should have won all three, Dustin. And that's why it hurts so damn bad, is because we are staring a 4-8 regular season right in the face. And it's hard to get over. It's hard to get over, Dustin. It's just negativity all the time with Auburn right now. It's the fan base is going at each other. I see people every day on Twitter arguing back and forth. Fire Hugh Freeze, don't fire Hugh Freeze, and it's at each other's throats during games, and it's just we're not good, man. We're not good at anything right now. So I think that's the most frustrating part.
Yeah, I agree with mostly everything you said there. It's I think the one thing that is the most frustrating to me is, and I want this is kind of the way I wanted to frame this one tonight is, um, I don't think the young guys, I don't think youth has been the reason Auburn's lost these games.
Yep.
Certainly not Saturday, and our members know. Um, well, y'all don't know, but we just did a pod before we came on here for you guys, where we really kind of go through in the game and then go through huge explanation in the press conferences and just kind of talk about why youth is not the issues here. It's
Yep.
not. Youth was not the issues on Saturday. So, what I do, because I agree with you, Blake, I mean, looking at the season, unless you steal some wins along the way and you can somehow find a bowl game, which I don't predict Auburn going 4-3 in these games, um, then what do you do with the season? And the argument that I would make is like Saturday, I wouldn't go out there and just start all the freshmen. Like I would go into the game and try to win it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when it gets to a point, what do you like? If Auburn doesn't win a game on this road trip, what do you do? And I just think at that point, I think you play the young guys because again, and if you think I'm wrong, if you're watching live, put it in the live chat. If you're watching on replay, put in the comments. If you think that youth cost us the game on Saturday, then point out how. Explain to me in what
Yep.
scenario youth cost us the game. Because I would argue that the 5th-year quarterback and the guy that's been coaching football for decades was what gave the game away Saturday. Malcolm Simmons played 7 snaps and was the highest graded player.
Yep.
So he's not the problem. Caleb Harris, woo,
Dog.
not the problem, is he? That
No.
kid balling. DeMarcus Riddick, haven't even
Dog.
seen him all year. Didn't even see him in blowouts versus New Mexico, Alabama A&M, and then, hey now, all of a sudden he's on the scene and is the best defensive player of the day. So I don't want to sit here and just completely go in. So I have a clip of Hugh just kind of reading off all the stats. So I want to be fair. Me and Blake have been very critical, as mostly everybody has been, and Hugh was critical of himself. And I think that's really the important part here is you get mad at me and Blake for saying what we say, and then Hugh Freeze comes up there on Monday and says everything we said. Like it kind of listen to Hugh. He's telling you, he told you he made all these mistakes. So don't get mad at me. But I do want to play this clip real quick. Because it kind of highlights the things that Auburn is doing good. We talk about the young guys that are playing good. And to me, Blake, there just appears to be one kind of glaring issue so far this year. But here's Hugh Freeze talking about all the things that Auburn is doing good, which in my opinion makes it all the more maddening.
That's the complicated thing of taking ownership of that and still pointing out the positives, whether it's that, I mean, offensively we're number 3 in the conference for fewest penalties. We're number 5 in the conference for passing. We're number 1 in the conference for explosive pass plays per completion. We're number 5 in total offense, or maybe that's 8, maybe 8 total offense, and 5 in yards per carry. I mean, there's a lot of positives that are not matching up with the results. There's some negatives too. We're 16th in the conference in time of possession. We're 16th in turnover margin, and that's the things that have really cost us. We lost the 3 games we've lost by an average of 7 point something points, 7.7 points, and in those games have had 11 turnovers. And so there's a lot of positives to build upon, and extremely proud of the effort that our kids and staff gave to prepare for a really good football team in Oklahoma, particularly defensively. They're one of the best.
All right. So, yeah, like I said, I want to be fair to Hugh Freeze because we've been hard on him the last couple of days, but it's working. I mean, he's put together an offense this year that is the best offense. I mean, Blake, you begged for explosive plays, brother.
Yep.
You got them.
we're moving the ball, man. I
Yeah.
think that's what's really frustrating is we're moving it from the 20s. Like it's just in the red zone. Saturday, we get down there and it's the play calling and all of those things. Not giving the ball to your best player, and then you getting on the podium and saying, "Hey, I regret that." Well, there ain't no going back to it, brother. I'm sorry, but I'm one of those people where I'm going to run something that's worked for the last 100 years. And I might even walk up to the line of scrimmage and say, hey, look, we're running it right up the A gap, damn it. All right. And we're giving it to 27 4 times. Stop us. Show me that you can stop me. That's it. Show me that you can stop me because I'm running it 4 times right down your throat. With 27. He's all SEC preseason honored back. He's probably going to get to 1,000 yards this year. It's going to be really dang close. So what are we doing? The glamour and all this stuff, the explosive plays, it's great, but in crunch time, brother, it hadn't been great. It's been a struggle. It's been a struggle, and I think. Yeah, people say like you can take the turnovers away. Y'all, just like we said, me and Dustin, we were texting with 11 minutes left the other day, and we both said the same thing. We're about to find a way to lose. It's going to happen. You want to know why? Because turning the ball over is who we are. And I saw a stat today. Thank you, Brooks Austin. Hugh Freeze, in his coaching tenure, it was a list of Hugh, Kalen DeBoer, Kirby, Lane Kiffin. He led that list with 20 plus turnovers in a season. You know how many he had? 8. 8 seasons where his football teams had 20 plus turnovers. The next closest was on the list. I think it was Lane with 3. That was the next closest on the list. Kalen DeBoer had 2. And those were probably at Fresno State. So, the turnovers, it seems like that's just who we are. It's who we are as a football team right now. We're going to turn it over, and when things get tight, sphincter holes, they shrink up. When the lights are bright and plays need to be made, we're going to find a way to turn that damn thing over. And that's just how it is. They keep showing us, Dustin. They keep showing us every Saturday. Yeah. Ain't nothing changed, big dog. And that is the one bright spot is the young guys. I feel like that's the only thing when you turn Auburn on, that's the only thing right now that's sticking out besides Jarquez Hunter and maybe a couple of them offensive linemen that I was really impressed with Saturday. But other than that, I'm sitting here saying, man, hey, these young guys, and that is the only reason I hold out and say, hey, I'm tired of hearing all this fire, Hugh Freeze stuff, is because them babies out there, they're growing up right before our eyes. And we might have a hellacious defense here within the next year or two. So that is one thing I'm holding on to.
Yeah, and that's kind of the point that I want to make tonight is everything you said right there. As far as listen, this is not what's not being said here is fire Hugh Freeze. We're just trying to point out like the mistakes are not the youth. Because I'm seeing certain people in the Auburn scene carry water for the program a little bit and kind of use that excuse. And I know that they don't want to risk their access and all that kind of stuff, but brother, I'm here to tell you the truth. The young guys are playing great. And again, to be fair, that is a testament to the coaching staff. Good on Hugh Freeze for putting Malcolm Simmons in that deep pass, calling the right play, using Malcolm in something other than the bubble screen, something other than the speed sweep. Like, I want to be fair. So the thing is that God, comment so dumb it throws me off. I'm gonna stay on track here.
Yeah, you finish.
Yeah. So the problem is not the youth. Okay, the young guys are playing well. Caleb Harris, I'm so excited to see what he develops into. Like, I don't know if Auburn has had a game wrecker like DeMarcus Reddick at linebacker, bro. I can't think of him. Like, I love Jacoby McClain. Like, he was a good player and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I never
Good
watched
call.
Jacoby McClain and said that guy's going to be an NFL all-pro type player.
Yeah, undersized.
DeMarcus Reddick, the ceiling is all pro.
Yeah.
Pro Bowl NFL player ceiling. I've seen some people be hard on Antonio Kite. I think there's potential there. Jay Crawford, what a day he had. First ever start, and he balls out, man. I think Sylvester Smith has got better as the season's gone on. Still a young guy, only played a couple of games. Malik Blockton from game one has been in the rotation. And then when we look at the offensive side, you see DeAndre Carter getting in there early on the offensive line. Excites the hell out of me what that kid's going to be on the O-line. Cam Coleman, day one, stepped in, contributing. The drop problem, it's he's dropped some balls that he shouldn't drop, but that's a situation where I can look at it and say, okay, this makes a little sense to me. Look, and I know it doesn't look good with what Ryan Williams is doing over there in Alabama right now. I get it. That kid's a freak, man, and they're just out. They're just Alabama. Like I'm not going to even go down that road tonight. Y'all know what it is. But overall, Cam's played well. It's unfortunately he's had some drops that led to picks, and then he had. But I thought he bounced back after a drop. Like the point I'm making is he's coming as a freshman and he's contributed.
Yeah.
I think our expectations for him, because we've never seen nothing like him, were probably a little bit. We expected too much too quick. Yeah. I think you can look at Cam Coleman and see, okay, like this guy's gonna be that dude. He's gonna be fine. So yeah, man, I look at all the talent that is already playing, and it also gives me hope for the recruiting pitch, because I think this year's going to end in a losing season.
Yeah.
But I think the one thing that Hugh can still sell is, well, look at all the young guys I played. So one, he can still say, I'm playing a lot of young guys, I'm building. And two, he can say, I'm going to get you on the field. You're going to play immediately. You don't believe me? Ask these guys. Ask DeMarcus Reddick. Ask him. He got on the field game 5 and led Auburn in tackles. There is a lot that I look at, and it gives me excitement for the program. I do think that you can't argue the talent has gotten better since Hugh Freeze showed up. That's not even debatable. There's way more talent on this roster from when Hugh Freeze took over and to where it is now. Like it's night and day. And you always call them puppies. Well, I can't wait to see them grow up and be dogs.
Yep.
I can't wait till what is Caleb Harris going to be next year? It's going to be a freak, because last year we found ourselves just saying this about Connor Lew and Keldrick Faulk. That's 2 guys. Right now, I got about a dozen. I'm like, shit, man. Okay, hey, okay,
It's facts.
Okay, I can't wait. So here's the point I want to make tonight. They're not the problem. Now, when you get more guys like that in here, because that's just one class and they're freshmen. So like it, and that's why I'm not on the. You will not hear me say anything about firing Hugh Freeze until the end of year 3 if it keeps going bad.
Yep.
But what I'm not going to do is ignore what he himself says were his mistakes. Again, I challenge you. I've said nothing over the past, since this season has started, about Hugh Freeze that he didn't sit on the podium and say himself was a mistake. Everything I've been critical of has been in-game stuff that he admitted on Monday was a mistake. Every single thing. So the youth is great. I love to see it. Shout out to like DJ Durkin. The position coaches all deserve credit here for having these young guys ready. I think it shows you, I think you can look at it and say you have a staff that can develop. And that's exciting. There's one problem right now. Now the talent gap is going to show up this week. This was a game Auburn was never going to win because the talent gap is too large. Georgia has recruited at a level that Auburn hasn't for a long time. All this young talent, we're getting better as far as the talent goes and all that. We have got to get out of our own way. The coaching staff, in-game decisions, time management, timeout usage, play calling in crucial moments. Those are the things right now that have Auburn at 2-3 instead of 4-1. Because I'll be conservative, 4-1.
Yeah.
Those are the things, not youth. So I'm excited. There's a lot to look at and say, okay, this thing is going in the right direction. If Hugh Freeze can handle in-game critical moments better, then we're off and running, man. That's the one thing right now, Blake, because I'm looking at the youth and I'm super excited. That's the one thing right now that's holding me back and got me concerned.
I mean, you laid it out there, Dustin. It's not the youth, man. It's not the youth. I think a guy like Caleb Harris is an absolute dog. That kid, for about 2 to 3 weeks there, I was mentioning we need a DB to come up and pop somebody and knock somebody in the dirt and make them feel you. And Caleb Harris absolutely he brings it. He brings it every single play. I'm super impressed with Riddick. I think he's just a ball hawk, man. He's always going to find himself around the pigskin. He's one of those guys that he wants to be physical. He wants to hit you, and that's that Auburn linebacker that we want to see. You know, you can go to all the greats, man, and he brings that physicality, and that's one reason why I'm really high on Durkin. I had somebody on my Twitter the other day say, "Fire DJ Durkin after the 66-yard bomb." Y'all, Kayan Lee is still a puppy. He's a true sophomore. He's still a baby. All right, like you got to think, man. There's a lot of pups out there. There's a lot of pups out there. He just got beat. It happens. Auburn still should have won the football game, even though Kayan Lee got beat. So I think the future is bright for Auburn football. But yeah, I do agree. I got to stop hearing the whole talent gap thing with the whole Arkansas, Cal, and Oklahoma, because we're not. This week, hey, I'm okay. I'm going to sit back and say, hey, Kirby, have a way with it, man. You've had our number for 20 freaking years. So, have fun with us, beat us to sleep, and, we'll see you next year in Jordan-Hare, and the get back's going to be real. So, I think it's going in a I think the young guys are moving in a positive direction. Maybe the other half of this team might be starting to clock out. Maybe after this weekend. I guess that's what I want to say is you're going to be staring at 2-4, going to get clocked by Georgia. Yeah, why not put the puppies out there and let's roll. You said 25-26, dog. So let's see it. Let's see what we're going to be working with.
Yeah, I know you want to get to that comment, Blake.
Yeah, pull it up. I just, who deserves to be the most disappointed, Blake or the young men who played their hearts out only to lose in the end? Perspective, guys. Sorry, but I'm out. Eric, dog. Here's my thing. Is the reason why I'm disappointed is because I spend my hard-earned money to go to Jordan-Hare Stadium. I live in Mobile, Alabama. It takes about three hours to get to Auburn, up I-65 and hit 85, and it takes a little bit of gas to get there. I got to buy food when I get there and all that good stuff. I got to buy tickets, just like everybody else does, right, man? Well, I also choose to go to Dallas, Texas, Atlanta, Georgia, wherever Auburn is playing. I've been down to Orlando, all that good stuff, man, to watch Auburn. And I've used my hard-earned money to go down there and go on these trips to watch Auburn sports. Hell, I go on trips to watch Auburn baseball. Just went to Jacksonville back in February. That's why I'm disappointed, is because I take time out of my week where I could be in there with my kids and my wife to come on here and talk about Auburn sports, and I go to watch all these games, and I'm disappointed because I love the hell out of Auburn sports. And because I know we're better than what we're putting on the damn field. We're better than 3rd and 4 and our best player not touching the damn ball. Period. We're better than that. We're better than losing to a true freshman without 5 of his wide receivers inside of Jordan-Hare Stadium. That ain't Auburn. It ain't.
Yeah, I agree with you. Eric, I'm afraid you don't know what sports talk is. Who deserves to be most disappointed, Blake or the young men that played their hearts out? What makes you think that Blake thinks he's more disappointed than Cam Coleman and Peyton Thorne and all these guys? I mean, I don't. We're not going to come on every episode and give a disclaimer before we hit record. All right, guys, we're talking about sports and not the people. Like at some point, Eric, you've got to grow up and mature a little bit because you leave this comment under every episode, and that's why we chose to pull it up because you've left this comment 100 times in a row under every episode. This is sports talk, man. So we're going to talk about the game and we're going to break stuff down. If Auburn was 5-0, this would be the most fun podcast to listen to. I promise you that. I promise you that. And if you don't believe it, go back and listen to our podcast when Auburn won the SEC championship in basketball. And then go back and listen to when they lost to Yale. It ain't up to me, brother. It ain't up to Blake. This is sports talk. And sports talk radio has been a thing for decades, and now it's developed into podcast. People are going to talk. They're going to pontificate. If you can't handle it, don't hit click. You got to grow up, Eric. You got to grow up. You're immature.
Well, here's the thing, too, is they're getting paid thousands of dollars, too. So, what, you think the guys in the NFL, how do you think they feel? All right. I watch. Let me tell you something. I watched Sunday. All right. I watched Sunday. The Jets and the Broncos played. All right. They played in a just absolute hurricane. I mean, it was flooding. Well, people were looking at stats and they were like, man, that Aaron Rodgers he's dog water, man. He's lost it. All right. Y'all, he took a lot of criticism and a lot of heat for losing to the Broncos and Bo Nix. All right. He didn't play the best. Guess what, y'all? If you didn't watch the game and you just look at the stat box, all right, you look at the box score, you're like, man, that Aaron Rodgers is dog crap. So what did he have to do? He had to go up there. He was disappointed, but he had to face the heat, man. He had to face the heat. These guys have got to face the heat. All right, he's better than that. Aaron Rodgers is better than that. He still should have beat the Broncos. Yeah, they played in a monsoon and he had a bad day, but he had to face the New York media, the critics, and they were on his tail. And he was like, guys, we played in a monsoon. I couldn't handle the football. Like, it was tough. That first half, I could barely throw the football. I mean, he had like 60 yards passing at halftime. So he still had to face the critics of New York media. There was no getting around it. They were like, hey, man, we don't care. Like, you should have threw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. I mean, they get paid now. So when Cam Coleman's dropping passes, yeah, I'm going to sit here and be like, hey, Cam, what are we doing, brother? Because those are turning to interceptions that are giving our defense problems because you're putting us in a short field. Another thing, too, is you say that we shouldn't, the guy should be more disappointed than us, but I think about you, your brother, and your dad going to the Arkansas game and then having to drive back to Pensacola and what that car ride's like. Yeah. My wife's an Alabama fan. We went to the Cal game. I looked at her and said, hey, let's go. And she said, Blake, why are we going? I said, I'm not going to sit here and watch this piss poor BS any longer. I said, we're out of here. I can be back 85-65 south, and we can be back in Mobile in no time. I said, because I'm sick of it. I'm not spending another dime coming up here to watch this BS bull crap. All right? And I have to sit there in silence for 3 hours back home because I don't want to talk about what I just experienced. That's why I get so disappointed, man.
Yeah. And then to say, we'll put a bow on this, but the perspective thing, the perspective thing, this is one of the funniest things that people say to me is, I got somebody right now, every time I post something on Twitter, he goes, why do you let this control your life? Brother, it doesn't. I do a podcast on Auburn. So I have to, my Twitter is going to be about Auburn. I'm going to talk about Auburn. Yeah. That's what it is. I've always said this. I got some people in my personal life that are like, take this stuff. Some people just take this stuff too seriously. And I say, if Auburn fans took football too seriously, half the state of Alabama would be on suicide watch or would have already decommitted it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know anything more painful than watching Auburn blow the games the way they've been blowing them over the past 4 or 5 years in every sport. So I don't need anybody, Eric, especially you, to tell me about perspective, brother. You don't know my life. You don't know me. With all due respect, shut up. All right, listen, there's a comment here that I think is a good transition into the next topic. I do want to get to that. But real quick, let's get on some of these other comments. My guy Ant says, did you see PT's comments? You saw him, Blake. He said, I'd still throw that pick. I'd throw it again.
That look, I know what he meant by it.
Yeah.
He made the wrong throw. The play, you go back and watch the play was coming open and it was probably going to be a tutter. He just made the wrong throw. And anybody said, a lot of people are like, well, the backer dropped out of, and he was in coverage and PT never saw him. The throw that he made, the DB was picking it off as well. It was just bad. It was bad. Now, if he put some air under that thing, and we're probably talking a different story right now. But I can see how it come off in the media for you to sit there, because people are going to run with it and they're going to say, "Oh man, that PT," and you probably think a little bit better before you say stuff when you word it like that. But I understood what he meant, because you go back and look at it and you see it opening up. I still 100% disagree with the call.
Yeah.
Auburn should run the football. And I tell y'all that every single episode. It's in our DNA, and that's one thing I'm having a problem with. Is we have a head coach who his DNA is to throw the football, and our DNA as a program, ever since we've been around, is to run the ball. And we're just not doing it, even on the goal line, on the 1 yard line. So.
Yeah, Ant says, no, Dustin, PT did. He missed a bubble screen on 3rd and 4. My pushback, Ant, is don't put this decision in Peyton Thorne's hands when you just benched him 2 weeks ago for his decision making in critical moments. Ernest Vaughn says, we're about to dog walk UGA 45-21. Hey, brother, roll that thing tight and pass it to your boy, because I need it. I need a little bit or whatever you're smoking on over there. William Wall says, Blake and Dustin, the only analyst worth a damn. Well, hey, man, I appreciate that, brother. I will tell you this. We strive to tell the truth.
Yep.
And we make some sacrifices to tell the truth, especially in the Auburn space. But, hey, man, that's what we're going to do. And we appreciate you noticing, William, and that comment means a lot. It really does. Let's see. My guy Matt down here had one. He says, staying patient with this team and staff. We're right there. Growing pains. Got to have more. Damn. I hear you. I definitely hear you. We've been preaching patience here, too. I think a lot of people mistake criticism of in-game decisions and stuff as wanting somebody fired. It's not that way. My pushback, Matt, is that the issues that showed up Saturday were not growing pains. And as far as the staff goes, a guy like Marcus Davis making a mistake, well, that can make some sense to me. But Hugh Freeze having to have 5.5 minutes of explaining his mistakes, that's concerning. He shouldn't be making the mistakes that he's made in game and continues to make. So hopefully he cleans that up. At the very least, like I say, you got to raise a red flag and say this is concerning.
I tell you another thing too that kind of gets at me a little bit is all the hollering at each other. Like right after a play happens, PT either the hollering and or it's like you can tell something there isn't clicking, bro. It's not meshing together with receiver and quarterback. It seems like they're so stressed out. And Hugh, you could see it the other day. Hugh basically walked right up to him and said, "Why are we throwing the football there? Like, what is going on?" I love Hugh getting on them, but you can tell there's something there, man, with PT. I don't know if he's feeling it on his shoulders, where he's just something, man. It's off with him and this offense. But when I saw Hugh do that, I was like, man, we're having to babysit a 5th-year senior, a guy that is 23 years old, 22 years old, and we're having to hold his hand, even with helmet communication. We're having to hold his hand, and Hugh is having to walk out there and say, "Hey, why are we throwing the ball? Like, we just broke off a 22-yard run. They hadn't been able to stop him all day. What are we doing?" Maybe the RPO isn't for Peyton Thorne. Period. Maybe it's not for him. It's called Hero Ball. Yeah, Ant. It's extremely frustrating because the reason I keep saying, my buddy Josh, he said, "Well, why are you so critical of the play call?" Because each week he shows that he's not capable of being put in that situation. That's why I'm critical of the play call. And also, I just feel like if you run the ball there and you get to 4th and 1, then it gives you the option to QB sneak, give it to Jarquez again. If you can get a yard, in which I think we could have because they couldn't stop us, you win the football game. Or you can punt it. You can punt it and make a true freshman drive 90 yards to beat you. I mean, come on now, that sounds like a sweet deal that I'd take. So I mean, it's it's a load of frustration.
Yeah. Miller says, "Can we get Bryce Kane on punt return?" I'm going to speak on this on just a second. Real quick, I didn't want to let this one go unslipped. KLS made a real bad decision. I disagree with you, Steven. I think that he has improved his draft stock in terms of winning. Sure, like he probably would going to end up. He would have won more games at Penn State than Auburn. But he's knocking on the door already of his yardage total last year, his touchdown total last year. If he stays on this pace, he's going to have one of the best receiving seasons in a long time. And I would argue he has took his draft stock up by a couple of rounds. So this system has worked wonders for KLS. And to Hugh Freeze's credit, he got all the receivers to come to his system in the first place, this whole Freeze 4 deal, because he sold them on what receivers can do in his system. And it's working. The numbers are there. Look at KLS, look at his numbers. He's having a great year in Hugh's system. So Hugh can take that back on the recruiting trail. You just got to find a way to get over this hump and get these dubs. But I would argue that a lot of KLS has benefited overall from coming to Auburn in every aspect outside of wins and losses. Devin says someone ran a simulation of the Georgia game. They have us winning 26-16. Devin, do not base your hope off of EA College Football 25 simulations. That simulation method in that game is broken. I promise you. Georgia, in my personal dynasty, went 3-9. Don't trust the simulation of the college football game.
Yeah. FCS Southeast beat Tennessee like 72-21 in ours. So I mean,
yeah. Don't put no stock into that, but we could. That would be nice. Now let's use this to transition, and Karen, we can your point here as well, saying you hope to get Perry on the field more.
Yeah.
And Miller, I think what I wanted to say with this is maybe this is an issue of redshirting.
Yep.
Maybe it's like is wasting a whole year of Bryce Kane's eligibility just for him to return punts in what's probably going to be a lost season anyway. Is that worth his entire year of eligibility? I think the staff hopefully would feel like no. So I agree with you. Like I want to see Bryce on punt returns too. But I just don't know if this year, at the way the season's going, if that's going to be the thing. Now, and that kind of leads to this next question here with Karen, and I want to ask you this, Blake. At what point does Auburn get to where you say, okay, Malcolm Simmons had 7 snaps last week and grades out as the highest rated player on Auburn's offense? DeAndre Carter's already in the 2 deep. At what point do you start saying, you know what? Robert Lewis isn't the future here, but Malcolm Simmons is. So Robert Lewis knows the plays better. Sure. Does Cam Brown really need to be getting more reps than Perry Thompson as the season goes on? Does Cam Brown know the playbook better right now? I'm trusting Q that he does when he says he does. But when do we get to the point, Blake, And then how would you do it? Because you can't just, at least unless it just goes really bad. But even then, I would argue you still got to line up at the start of the game and act like you're trying to win. How I guess I'm trying to think of how to word this. How would the split look if you were making the decision as far as the young guys and the old guys? And at what point does it get to where you start prioritizing the young guys' reps? Because we can all look at it at this point and say the future of this team is the class that we just had. These guys look like guys that Auburn hasn't had in a long time. So at what point do we start prioritizing their development over maybe winning a game or two that we wouldn't win otherwise with the older guys? You're muted.
I think you play them. I think you let them get after it, get out there, get the reps in. Yeah, look, I'm okay with taking licks if puppies are on the field. I'm okay with losing close games, losing contested games with puppies on the field, as long as it looks like we're headed in the right direction and the coaching staff is doing their part. And it's like another thing I saw in the comments. What's up with the 50-yard field goal and not punting it and playing defense and all those things that we pulled? And look, it comes down to, I know Towns Magoo is a talented kicker, but he got put in a bad spot this year because he's not ready to kick at the college level. He's not, and I think we've seen that. I actually think his confidence is shot. I saw it against Cal. I saw it this past Saturday. It's just it's been brutal for Towns, and he got put in a bad spot where Alex isn't able to go, and to the point where we got to hope and pray that Alex gets better so he can possibly come back and continue kicking, because damn it, we need him right now. And it's just been a blunder of issues. But yeah, I do want to see the young guy. I'm to the point where, hey, look, we're not going to a bowl game. Let's get get Bryce Kane on the field to help him grow. I know you want to keep the red shirt, but run him out there those 4 games. What's he played in? 1 game?
I've only seen him in Alabama A&M. I feel
Alabama?
like he got out there late versus New Mexico on some special teams, but I could be off on that.
Okay, well, he still got 2 more. All right. So if you want to keep his red shirt, run him out there for 2 more at the end of the year against Texas A&M and let him get a taste of Bryant Denny. Like get these kids on the field, man. Get them some reps, because, like I said, I'm to the point where I'm not a believer. We're not going to a bowl game. We have an identity as a team, and it's to I'll say this: it's to shit down our leg in big time moments.
Yeah.
We're going to find a way to lose, and it's just who we are this year. And get these puppies in there and get them right. So, like Coach Freeze said, 25 and 26. So that's what we're aiming for. There's a big one next year in Waco, Texas, to kick off the season, and that is where I am putting my focus on for the rest of the season. Is I want to see these babies grow, and I want to see them get on the field and play. Perry Thompson, I know what he is. I know he's a talented receiver. I know he can get on the field at Auburn University. I feel like he should have already been on the field. And when he does come on the field, I know we're running the ball because he's a blocker. And some of it's pretty damn predictable. And that's where I get frustrated. So if you're going to burn his red shirt, throw it to him every once in a while.
Yeah, I'm kind of there. I mean, I think that from a competitive standpoint, you have to come out for this road trip and try to get these wins. But if you come out of this road trip and don't get a dub, then it's like I don't want to say throw in the towel. But once you get to the point where you're not, like, you officially can't make a bowl game,
yeah,
I believe in fighting till the very end. But yeah, if you get to that point where you're like 2-6, 2-7, then I believe the remaining part of the season should be total development. I think that the interesting question becomes, I see people saying Walker White, And I would not do that from a confidence standpoint.
Yep.
Quarterback's a little bit different, but
Yep.
I do think you can find out about Hank Brown.
Yep.
I do think that Hank Brown's already got his opportunity. He's already been named starter once, and and then he had obviously the bad first half. So you're going to get to the point soon to where, like, yeah, I mean, are you even in that game Saturday if Hank Brown's the starting quarterback? I don't know for sure. We haven't seen enough of him, but I'll say I doubt he puts on the performance that Peyton Thorne did for the majority of the game. But then the result ended up being the same. Peyton Thorne still ended up being Peyton Thorne when it mattered the most. So it's like, yeah, I think we're kind of getting to that point too. I would still start PT probably for this whole road trip, to be honest with you. Because if I'm Hugh, I'm looking at it and I'm going, even if I don't win at Georgia, even if I don't win at Missouri, if I get one at Kentucky, then I can still try to fight and get to 6 wins. It's obviously an uphill battle, okay? And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying, like, if you're Hugh Freeze, how you have to play this. But yeah, I mean, even then, I think you're going to get to the point with quarterback where, in my opinion, if you don't win a game of these next 3, then I think you should roll with Hank the rest of the way. Even if Peyton Thorne's doing okay, but it's just like, I know what he is. I know he's going to throw picks in crunch time. I know I can't count on him to win a game. Let's find out before we go spend a couple $1 million in the portal and in high school recruiting. Let's find out if Hank Brown is a part of this thing moving forward. And so, yeah, I think that as far as a lot of the young guys go, it's probably a case-by-case basis. There's some guys that are more ready than others, and I understand all that. But by the end of the season, man, I want to be seeing TJ Lindsey and seeing these guys get some reps. And because I just, like you said, Blake, you're playing for 25, you're playing for 26.
Yeah.
And I think the recruiting pitch too. I think it would be easier to keep a top 10 class, even with a losing season, if you can go to them at the end of the year and say, look at all of the freshmen and redshirt freshmen I played.
Yep.
I think that's a lot easier to sell versus, well, I played Robert Lewis all year and he ended up with 17 catches for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, what does that accomplish?
Yeah. Look, there's nothing Robert Lewis does better than Malcolm Simmons. So let young Malcolm, let him get out there for more than 7 plays on a Saturday. I don't give a damn if he knows the playbook or not. All right, I really don't care at this point because it seems like the ones who know the playbook can't catch the football. So 3rd and 9 at the sticks, and we're dropping it for a first down. So yeah, and my thing with PT is once you become ineligible for a bowl game, what does PT bring to the table for you? So I want to go the younger route, and yeah, I'm not. That's the only position that I'm a little worried about doing it at is Walker White at the quarterback position. I don't want to see him go in and rip his confidence apart. It's just like starting any true freshman in college football. You really don't want to see it happen. Some people make it out and they do really well, but I always lean back to this: is Urban Meyer had a great coaching lesson when it comes to playing a senior and everybody harping on a true freshman. As Tim Tebow come in and he was the highly rated 5-star, and everybody was like, man, Chris Leak's trash. Like, I mean, he lost last year to Mississippi State and all this blah 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 blah. Well, he was the senior, and Urban Meyer was like, "Hey, man, he gives us the best chance to win. Like, we're going to roll him out here." Tim's just not ready. Tim will have his days where he gets in and there's a package for him, but we're rolling with Chris Leak because he's the captain, he's the leader. All we need is for him to just not turn the ball over, and that's what happened. And then Tim Tebow took over. He was seasoned. He had seen a little game action, and the rest is history. One of the greatest quarterbacks in the college game. So, I want to see these babies get on the field, and I feel like they're doing it on defense. I feel like every Saturday you're seeing another one come out of the woodworks, and you're like, hey, man, that's a true freshman. So
Yeah.
I do want to see it more on the offensive side, though. And I agree with your Hank Brown thing. If you can't get to a bowl game, see if Hank's the guy. I know he had the bad outing against Arkansas. Throw him in there, maybe on the road in an Iron Bowl. Let him see something, man. Let him see a hostile environment outside of Jordan-Hare Stadium, and see how he responds, because then you'll know, do you need to go get a Caden Salter as a graduate transfer? Do you need to look elsewhere in the transfer portal for a quarterback? Because I'm tired of hearing about we should have paid $1 million for Cam Ward. I'm sick of it. It seems like every Saturday I get on Twitter and it's, we should have paid that $1 million for Cam Ward. And I'm just like, I can't do this again next year, Dustin. I can't. Like, we got to figure it out. We got to figure the quarterback position out, and hopefully Deuce Knight will bring a little clarity to it. But we got to figure it out.
Yeah, a lot of people acting like I want Deuce too, and I know you're not saying this, Blake, but even if you get Deuce, he's not going to be ready to go for a couple of years. So you got to go to the portal. You got to get a guy. Maybe get a sports management degree up in this bitch.
Yeah, that's a
maybe. Maybe not be one of the only SEC schools without that. You might have already been able to pull a couple guys that you tried to get. Thomas with a $7 super chat saying, War Damn Eagle till they put me in the ground. Come on, 2025, 2026. Yeah, Tom, this War Eagle forever, man. That'll never change. That will never change as much as it hurts. And I've used this example a couple times already. I don't think that the Tennessee fans ever thought they were going to get out of it. They probably felt like, bro, we have descended to the depths of hell. And they came out of it. And I don't know when, but I know that whenever Auburn rises, I'm going to be so loud. I'm going to be so loud. I'm going to take all this pain that's inside of me, and I'm going to turn it into something. I'm going to turn it's these losses have created a monster, but y'all will see. Y'all will see. I got a whole lot of bookmarks from a whole lot of Bama burners. Whole lot. Just waiting for the day. I'll sit on them for 10 years if I got to. That's people in my personal life, too. Y'all going to get it. Takes me every Saturday like I'm out there on the damn field.
Right.
Like I got something to do with it. What happened, D? What I say every week's going to happen? Let's get to some of these comments, man, before we get out of here. Smash the thumbs up button, sub to the channel if you haven't. Listen, I do like the little podcast that me and Blake just did. We don't get to link up often and do member pods together, but we did today. We broke down some of what Hugh Freeze talked about in his press conference, kind of talked about our issues with it and where we think some of these things need to be cleaned up. Due to the hurricane, they moved a whole bunch of games around on me last week. The week before that, I traveled up to Auburn for the Arkansas game. So I haven't been at a high school game in back-to-back weeks. I promise y'all it bothers the hell out of me. So I'll be in Saraland this Friday. Going to be a bloodbath. I forget who they're taking on, but they're taking on a team that's like 1-4, 0-5 or something. So going to get a whole lot of Antonio Coleman highlights, hopefully. Hopefully my man gets about 4 or 5 sacks, but I ain't been up to Mobile yet. Got to go check him out. I want to go get some eyes on KJ Lacey. Paid a couple of weeks. I do believe I will be going out to Mississippi. Why would I be going out to Mississippi, you ask? Well, join the varsity squad, and we will tell you all about it in our recruiting update videos and our game day group chat. Blake does watch the film for Auburn baseball. Basketball season is coming up, and I really enjoy breaking down film for that. We look at these recruits, look at their film, all kind of stuff, man. And, sometimes if a topic's hot, like what's been going on these last couple of days with all the kind of the debate going on around Hugh Freeze and his play calling, me and Blake will hop in there and give you our thoughts on that as well. So, man. Well, we just did one. Blake's about to upload one for you guys here real soon. So, pumping these things out for you, man. I appreciate you guys. You see it right there. Join if you haven't. If you're on audio listening, please leave a 5-star review. Subscribe. All those things help us out. Go get a shirt over at thewarportshop.com, man. Them things look good. You'll look good wearing it. Couple more comments that I wanted to get to before we get out of here, Blake. Get on down here. Big Homie says, Dustin, didn't Hugh say at his first press conference that he develops QBs? He did. He also said that he can turn this thing around quickly, kind of flying in the narrative of need more time. Now, I'm not trying to do that. I'm just, he said what he said. So, Big Homie, he did say that. He did say it. He said a couple things in that press conference. And then Fire Freeze brings it up. He did. Yeah, he did. he did.
What I think, though, is with that is what he meant quickly is is his quickly and our quickly might have been two different things.
Barely.
And the reason I say that is because we were in such a horrific state, man. And a lot of people, I know they don't want to talk about the Harsin era and all that stuff, but it really was. It was bad. It was really, really bad. Um, so bad that our roster was probably equivalent to a Sun Belt team.
I agree with that.
And I don't want to knock on players, that former players that were at Auburn University. Love those dudes, and we had a couple guys that were studs, but I think with the position that Auburn was in, you got to look at like Hugh saying quickly is like 4 years. Like I'm talking about turning around as far to as like going sniffing the college football playoffs. Now this season, yeah, it's uncalled for, but I think like it's turning around is having us up there at near the top, like Tennessee is right now. Because even Heupel, he had a great year too, and then it was bam, kind of fell back off year 3. Now year 4, they're back up there. So what if Heupel would have come out and went 7-5 in year 2, and then Tennessee fans would have been like, "Oh, here we go. He's just another 7-5 guy." So let me get that one more year, and then I can sit here and say
Right.
something about him.
All right. Devin says she fully expects to get dog walks talking about her comment earlier on the simulation. Yeah, I know, Devin.
No pun intended.
Yeah. Pops in here says all the miscommunication with different receivers and the QB. Who's the common denominator in all those plays? That's what we're kind of doing. Like I said, we just did the member pod where we kind of point that out. Like, hey man, this falls back on one guy, and he's got to get it cleaned up. And we all see it. And he's stood up. I mean, to his credit, like it's funny to watch the national media, bro. The national media wants you to believe that Hugh Freeze is throwing his players under the bus. It's just not the truth.
Yeah.
It's not what he's doing. And I don't understand why they're trying to spin this narrative about him. Well, I do know why. But my whole thing is like there's stuff, you don't have to make stuff up. You can talk about the stuff that's on the field. You don't have to make up this fake thing. But yeah, Pops, I'm with you. I mean, you know that. Hugh Freeze is the common denominator. He's got to find a way. I mean, to sit there and say, well, Peyton Thorne didn't, I got to coach him better on that 3rd and 4 where he threw the pick. No, you don't. No, you don't. You just run a running play. You just hand the ball off twice. And if you don't get the first down, you punt it and you make the freshman QB drive the freaking field, which he's only made 2 big plays all day. So I like my chances knowing he has to pass with at that point would have been about 3:20 to go if you just ran the clock and didn't get the first down and punted it. You got about 3 minutes to 3 minutes and 20 seconds knowing he's got to pass and go 90 yards, you would hope, if you punt the ball well. So,
yep.
Yeah, it's very, very frustrating. Maine says the only problem I had on Saturday with Hugh was that wildcat play at the goal line. His play calling is helping the wide receivers get open. Yeah, that's the thing, man. It's like, again, I want to be fair. His system is working. That's why I said what I said about KLS earlier. And he can step up there with confidence and say, I told y'all, I'll get receivers open. You'll get stats in my system. What we got to figure out now is we got to slay that job of beast, bro. We got to slay that job of beast. And right now, Hugh is just throwing him food. Hugh's throwing him food. In the critical moments, he's making Jabba Beast grow bigger. And I need somebody to grab that damn sword out that rock and slay that dude, man, because I'm tired of it. Clarence, Pops, he says, I've never called, oh, sorry, that's just a trip for me. I've never called my dad his real name. Give these young guys a reason to want to stay. Put them on the field. That's a great point. I mean, put them, yeah. Let's not be naive here. In the world of the transfer portal, you just signed a whole bunch of elite guys to a top 5, top 6 class, whatever it ended up being. Perry Thompson's getting phone calls right now. Don't know that, but know that type thing. Like, hey, bud, I see you not getting used. Just remember, we wanted you. Come on over here. You can win some games, and we'll use you. So, yeah, put them on the field. Give them the reason to believe they can stay in this program. They can grow. And they all came in together. So, if this team finishes 4-8, 5-7, but by the end of the year, all those young guys have played together for the last couple of games, they might all come together and say, hey, next year, it's our team.
Yep.
And watch what we do. And then at that point, you can make the argument that Hugh Freeze's job will literally hinge on him hitting the portal quarterback or not. He's got to hit. Can't afford to miss again.
It's a fact.
But, yeah, I agree with you. Let's get these young guys on the field. Let's get them a whole lot of reps because that's my closing thought for the night. The young guys have not been the problem. Now, it could be the problem this Saturday. We're probably just going to be too young this Saturday. But youth wasn't the problem versus Oklahoma. Youth wasn't the problem versus Arkansas. Youth wasn't the problem versus Cal. The guy that's supposed to get the youth in the right position was the problem. So let's get that cleaned up. I'm excited about all the young guys that are out there. A-plus job for Hugh Freeze for getting these guys to the program. A-plus job to the position coaches for getting them ready. Like, hey, you got Crawford being able to play that many snaps in that game. And I understand Oklahoma's passing situation. I get that. It doesn't matter. That kid's 18 years old, bro. Look, I'll give him full, I'm hosting the Just a Sec pod now. So go check that out if you want more, SEC content. And both episodes I've given Ryan Williams his flowers because, you couldn't take me serious if I wasn't, right? But hey, I know he's 17. Auburn's got about 15, 18-year-olds out there running around right now. We got a lot of young studs too. So let's get out of our own way. Let's get out of our own way because if we do that, then the future can be bright, man. It can be bright. There's more talented guys coming into Auburn than there ever has been before. Let's get out of our own damn way and let's start winning some football games, man. That's all I got tonight. Blake, I'll pass it to you, War Damn Eagle.
Yeah, I just want to see a team go in and fight this Saturday and be competitive and lay it all out on the line. And if you come up short, I can live with that. If you don't turn the ball over and you put it out there and you come up empty-handed, I can live with that. I just don't want to see the mistakes again. I want to see a clean football game, and if we get beat by 3 touchdowns, but we play clean and we go out there and we compete and we're just out-talented, they got more athletes than we do, I can live with that. I'm okay with that. I'm not going to hold my head that we lost to a team that is going to be playing Alabama in the national championship game in a rematch. I'm not going to hold my head about that because
them all, Blake.
Nah, they ain't. Them 2 teams that played Saturday night are the best 2 teams in the country.
We gonna see.
I want to see clean football and a head coach believe in what he's doing and maybe highlight your best player when it matters the most.
Crazy.
That's what I really want to see. So that's where I'm at, man.
Yes, sir. Good stuff. We will see you guys Thursday night, 6 p.m. Y'all know the drill. Thumbs up button. Sub if you haven't. War Damn Eagle. Love y'all. We'll see y'all Thursday, man.
War Damn.